Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Rocket Monday, we're going to talk about how Artemis has failed America. So let's dive deep into it. So this is a failure because it has already happened. So let's dive deep into it. So Space Policy Directive 1 was signed on 11 December 2017, this puppy, and Vice President afterwards defined more details about it. And be mindful, when this sort of directive is signed, that simply means there was a good discussion, and once it's signed, that means people start to get together and actually start to iron things out. Whereas like how the heck you're gonna do it, where how other things is gonna put in place, not till like final detail, but more than enough where it's like, okay, we get it, like what we need to do, how we need to do. So public gets to know like with final detail and deadline. That happens on by Vice President on 26 March 2019. So at that point in time, the target date was announced, date 2024. Now if you are watching this video this year, that means this is 2024 and they are not going on to the moon, not anytime soon. So as of when I'm making this video, February 2024, Artemis 3 hopefully is gonna happen on late 2026. Now here's the, if you zoom out, if you really zoom out a bit and observe all the components that are moving into place, most people agree that it's not going to happen. Right now, the most prevalent theory or hypothesis is that NASA knows this is not going to happen, but if they directly showed, yeah, it's going to take, let's say, 2030, there is a good chance the project might be cancelled outright. So they are like, no, just a little bit, just trying to push it, like how fusion is, like, every year, 1 year delayed. So same thing happening here. So how the heck it's so clear and so obvious? Well, the same reason how the heck everybody was commenting in 2 years ago, it's not going to happen by 2024. Heck, even I have an old video there I said, yeah, likelihood of happening in 2024 is almost zero. Is because there is no clarity. What they are aiming for, what they are doing, how they're going to do it, there is no clarity. Nothing is sorted. Like if you have this sort of tight deadline where it's like, in 2019 you announce something and you have to get it done by 2024, you have to be absolute. The first year, all you're going to do is figure everything out, every nut and bolt. It has to be not only done you can do it in this time frame. Can you delay it? Of course you can delay it somewhat, but at current point it might be delayed to 2x, or worst case scenario delayed to cancellation. That could happen if economy does not recover quite well. So that could happen. So there is a very serious risk of that part also. I really would not want to make that part where Artemis actually went boom. So let this be very clear. So government only asked for something. Like government is like, hey, NASA, get me this. Basically, get me to the moon. Okay, cool, and all that. Here's the, when this was done in the Kennedy era, people really seem to forget that government actually signed a blank check. How much that blank check was? 4.5%. Let that sink in. Almost 4.5%. You can check like NASA's budget. During that time, it's like bonkersly high. The 4.5% of national budget. That's huge. To give you a context how huge that is compared to today, it's 0.4. So nobody increased the budget. They just said, get me to the moon in 2024. And they're like, budget? No. Just whatever you have the running cost, run in that. It's like, yeah, that's not how that things work. Especially if at that timeline. If you have like, this is your goal, get it done slowly over time. You can run it in the background and back burners and all that. And then you get it done by 2035. But you cannot do this in this sort of time frame without increasing budget exponentially. So yeah, that's not going to happen. And on top of that, NASA reached a final point where they have way too many half-baked projects, where it's like, this project is there, what if we use this project, what if we use this one, and what if we had this one? Too many half-over and too many leftover. So basically the catalog is too messed up at this point in time. And Smarter Everyday did an amazing video about that. I have linked down below. And a common sense skeptic also did an amazing video, linked down below. And I'm trying to combine all of the data and all other external variables that lead us to this point where Artemis has already failed. We know that's not gonna do in 2024, and likelihood of in 2026 is almost zero. So how the heck this happened? So the first foundation where we realized the things went off the rails, as they say, SLS tragedy. Now this foundation was started in October 2010 by Obama cancellation of Constellation project. Now you have to understand this. Space shuttle was a failure. Now, like, how would you define something a success or failure? Well, you look at the original promise that was made for this expenditure. Original promise was, we're gonna launch at least 2 times per month. They barely managed to put 2 launches per year. So cadence is not there. We're gonna have it done cheaply. This puppy was same price as Saturn 5. Yeah, that part also failed. Okay, so it's not quick, it's not cheap, it's gonna be safe. Yeah, unfortunately that part had like very serious real world price. And be mindful, people inside already knew that space shuttle at best case scenario has 100 to 1 ratio, and unfortunately that turned out to be absolutely true. It flew less than 200 times and it went boom 2 times. So there is a point where it's like, dude, this is not gonna happen. This is not a good solution. We tried it, we learned a lot from it, we built ISS out of it, but it's like, this had to be done. Like this is not a good flying puppy. We have to let it go. But we never truly let it go. And Constellation was created. Basically, a zombie was created. So that zombie was, what if we reuse this? Like, I have no idea how the heck an engineer was not there to bitch slap a politician who said, we need to keep this job. It's like, sir, we're gonna build a newer rocket. It's gonna be better. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have more jobs. Don't worry about it. No, no, no. We need this exact factory in this exact configuration, doing this exact thing. WTF? It's like right now trying to build a factory that is like, we're gonna make printing press. It's like, sir, we have not used printing press for century at this point in time. Not century. You get the point. It's like, that's what happened. Constellation was literally that. People just could not accept it. Like, yeah, we built a thing. We learned a lot from it. We got things done, but it's like, now it's time to move on. Let's start over fresh. Take all the learnings, build something. And no, we're gonna take the solid booster we built for this. We're gonna launch it. Ares 1, that's going to be a solid booster and stuff on top of it. Yes, and yes, it was meant for orbiter system, and yes, they did fly it. Let that be clear. You can find the video footage of it. Again, it was a proper test fit. NASA did it properly. Everything was fine. So that was the idea. They're going to take the solid booster, make it into a rocket. Basically, if they needed, plonk a second stage and payload on top of it. That was Ares 1. And then the final project was, what if the fuel tank was the fuel tank? So they created Ares 5 and they went bit bonkers with it. So that puppy is supposed to have even more oomph. So it's supposed to make basically almost 1.3x power of Saturn 5. So that was SLS ancient ancestor, so to say. So you can see Ares 1 and Ares 5, all they are is basically this puppy. They are just not accepting the fact that we tried something, it did not work. Let's just go back to the drawing board. That was not allowed. You have to use this. You have to do this. It's like, so that's how the first zombie was created. And past was forcefully reused. Now here's the deal. If you ever wondered where the heck Orion magically came from, this is the project where they were developing Orion for. And it was half built, meaning it does not have proper delta width. Like, it was not built properly for moon mission. It's like, it's a zombie. It's another zombie, by the way. So SLS part has from Subtle era and Constellation era, and as we know, this puppy that was laid, the foundation was laid down in 2011. Now here's the deal. I'm gonna give you a big shock. When the paper was signed, where it's like, we're gonna do this, we already have the parts. That was the saying. We have the parts. It should be done. That should have happened in 2017. Yeah, did not happen. So why? How the heck we can mess up this badly for a thing that already exists, for a factory that already exists, for the pipeline that is already sorted? Government BS, obviously. Boeing corruption. Boeing went, like, recently, right, people are realizing that Boeing has went off the rails. Basically, there is a point of corruption and there is like, dude, this is not corruption. This is poof, going poof. So Boeing reached that point, and then NASA became stupid. So, and this is not me saying this is NASA's own Inspector General saying, it's like, NASA is not taking corrective action. NASA, in their contracts, there is by law fail-safe built into it, where it's like, if a contractor starts to troll you, where it's like, oh no sir, we're gonna charge you whatever we want, as a corrective action, you can be like, hey, you know the payment that you are receiving? Yeah. No. There is corrective action by law designed into it, legal actions. And what Inspector General noticed is like, somehow, let this be very clear, let your blood boil properly. They were giving bonus to Boeing. They cannot do anything, and they're like, here's bonus, so you can do anything. This happened. Not past tense, like not if or that happened. So cost is so huge, it will make Apollo look cheap, because they never let this die properly. It's like, okay, we tried it, we learned as much we can do, we built things out of it. It was a good try. It did not work out as we expected, but okay, let's move on. No, we're gonna use that. We're gonna keep using that. We're gonna keep using that. It's like, let it die, man. So it's basically like how a TV show, if they keep stretching it, you reach a point where it's like, dude, just let it go. Same thing. So at this point in time, Saturn V is actually cheaper. I'm like genuinely shocked. At some point, someone with brain will wake up and just like, bitch, delete everything, just build Saturn V again. And I know you most of have all the paperwork have is gone. Rebuilt it, done. Nobody gives a damn. It's like nobody else can replace that Saturn V. So flat out. And here's the deal: the bitch slap because of this was so brutal. This will be the last rocket. Like flat out, government have learned that government cannot be BS enough. Government cannot trust NASA to do this job properly, and like all that hassle. So NASA from now onwards will never build a rocket. This was the last proper thing they built, and everything else is just a zombie off of that. That will be end. No more rockets. Meaning, if NASA needs to do anything, they have to go through commercial route. They cannot go to government and be like, hey, we need this. No, done. That era is ended. That's how bad this was. Again, you may think it's a good thing or may as a bad end, but be mindful, this was the same corporation that built Saturn V. So this is how the snowball effect started from 2017. So something even worse happened. That was in 2017. Something bad happened. Somehow, this lady, one individual, let that be very clear, every major decision in NASA is done by a committee with a proper hindsight, or with proper paperwork, with everything. Like it's not, oh, I decided. No. They have learned this the hard way, especially in subtle accident. Whereas like one individual did warn, like, do not launch this craft if the O-ring is exceeded its safety rating. Yes, it should not have happened. And yes, after that mission, they are like, if anybody presses the doubt button, you can scrub the launch. Nobody gives a damn. A president wants to do a TV speech with a teacher in the space on Sunday news. Like nobody gives a damn. It's like, if anybody says, I doubt, you boom, basically scrub the launch. So somehow, again, in the modern NASA, this happened. One individual made a selection decision. Now here's the deal. In that selection decision, what they did, they gave SpaceX two far out ideas. There are ideas with context to it, meaning, can you do this? Again, let's say right now DDR5 exists in your normal computer. Can DDR10 exist? Maybe. But here's the deal. You will not trust on that. You will not count on that for something that you're going to do in next 2 to 3 years. You're not going to count, right? You may not even count on DDR6, right? That's how it works. Now, of course, if you're planning for something, let's say 100 years from now, of course, then it's a different thing. So that's how it works. Like some projects require very long thinking, very long horizons. Some require like, what we have right now, let's work on that. So especially if you have deadline that is 2024 or 2026 or 2028, you will be like, hey, we need something that is like, I can buy from a shop, so to say. So too far out of idea. Like SpaceX idea is wrong on fundamental level, and they're just stretching it too far out. And somehow she just like, I like it, I'm just gonna give it. And she gave backdoor feedback. Let that be very clear. That should not have happened. And if you remember the old debacle where the SpaceX price was too low, turns out it was backdoor dealing. The price should not, SpaceX did not originally stated that sort of low price. They were like, yeah, we also need a lot of money to get this done. It's like, no. Government actually is not giving us money. And instead of telling all the basically players, 3 players were there at that time, all the basically contestant that revised budget have come, all of you have to resubmit it. They were like, no, only SpaceX gets to know. I already approved it, we classified all this action, and then they're like, only SpaceX is registered. And that's why they filed a lawsuit, and that's why they won. It was a backhand action, flat out illegal thing. So Kathy Ludas, this lady, is retired from NASA, and now she's working SpaceX. So there is an actual probability she actually did it willingly, knowingly, just so she can have a better, comfier life in terms of pocket wise. Because here's the government was not giving enough money. That was clear. Okay. Only NASA directives knew that. Again, they get the budgets. So they were like, okay, we have to revise it. That's the whole point of public corporation. It's like, hey, we are public, we tell everything. They did not. The revised budget was not published. So flat out, that cost the lawsuit, and they lost the lawsuit. So thankfully, somebody had enough brain in NASA that they have learned from shuttle era, thou shall not have one point of failure. Under no circumstances, no matter how good SpaceX is, you should always try your best to have a second backup. So they were like, hey, right now we messed up. Let's try to reduce our mess up, have a second option. So why this design is fundamentally messed up? Well, the idea is we're going to have stage 1, stage 2. That's cool. That's awesome. We're going to have stage 1 reusable, stage 2 reusable. That's where they messed up. They are forcing the stage 2 design to be stage 3 and go to moon. Why? Why do not, like, you can launch 100-ton to low Earth orbit. That's more than enough for a third stage, like more than enough for a whole lunar mission. Or again, if you need something more, you can have docking. It's like, dude, and I forcefully trying to do second stage in low Earth orbit requires refueling. And here's the deal. This is how SpaceX, we know that is a backhand dealing. Otherwise, nobody would have accepted it. You need for this mission architecture one SLS launch. That's 2 billion gone. You need minimum one Starship launch. That's like at least $500 million gone. Okay, no problem. And here's the fun fact. Now this is the dangerous part. You need to refuel that. Now here's the deal. They will always show you images with two image rocket and all that. Mathematics is 15 minimum. Let that sink in. 15 minimum, because somebody in SpaceX thought this looked cool to force second stage to go to moon. It's like, dude, it's second stage. Build a third stage for that. Do not force a second stage. That's why it requires so much refueling. It's overbuilt. There is no reason for that. And be mindful, if you land it on the moon, any minor debris that will happen, you're talking about a giant ass rocket going whoosh on lunar surface, lunar regolith, it's gonna cause damage. Any damage, yeah, they will be stranded there. At best case scenario, at worst case scenario, they try to reignite and go boom. It's like, it's not made for that third, like they're supposed to be third stage. They just forced it. Now here's it. Can this sort of design happen in future? Maybe. When we have even bigger rocket, when we have even giant propellant depot in low Earth orbit, maybe. Not right now. That's the whole point. Like DDR5, we got it. We good. DDR10 is not there, man. So this is DDR10 project. It cannot happen right now. It cannot happen in 2024. It cannot happen in 2026. Fundamentally, by law of physics, it cannot happen in 2026. You cannot expect 15 launches to happen quick enough so you do not have like boil-off issues and all that. And that's also assuming you have SLS ready. Yeah, no. Yeah, you may be like, hey, didn't we launch SLS? Yeah, the part 2, yeah, that's delayed. So flat out, somehow, this design is not happening under 2026. That's why everybody is very clear. It's like, can you expect a Starship launch before 2026? Absolutely. Can you expect a successful orbit? Most likely. Can you expect lunar injection burn with this sort of stupid design? Hell no. You like, here's the deal. Nobody has so far transferred even 1 ton of cryogenic propellant, let alone hundreds of ton of cryogenic propellant over the multiple time. We do not have a giant depot where it's like, okay, one flush. We do not have that yet. How the heck you're going to do that? Like, and again, how the heck you're going to do that in the timeline? That's the whole point. It's like somebody, like, I'm building DDR5. What if I commission a new supercomputer that is running on DDR10? It's like, that does not exist yet. So flat out. As of now, NASA is stuck with this system that is hyper complex. And to give you a context, this was a lunar project. It was very simple. Image down below, not down below, as in like in Wikipedia, it's very high resolution is available. You launch, you go, you circularize everything. Here you can abort also if something bad happens. It's like, and that's the reason why they need this also, what you call SLS, because SLS can launch Orion. And Orion has enough supplies and all that, so it can sustain it. And be mindful, they're just hoping that nothing bad happens, because the Starship is not actually certified for 7 days of survival in worst case scenario. Orion is designed for that. So even in a leakage scenario, it is tested for that. So that's why Orion's suit is like so bulky. It was designed in such a way that if something bad happens, they have to wait it to go around all the moon. It will require like 7 days upwards. So again, hopefully that will never be used, but that's the whole point. That's why it has to dock and then it has to travel for no reason. So NASA is stuck with hyper complex system compared to the simple system. You launch, you circularize the orbit, you check out everything, and then you do injection burn. Once the injection burn is done, the third stage is distant. It's like, burn, done, go home. Third stage is yeeted out of there. Then you have command module. Command module detaches. The command module goes Tokyo drift on it. Then it pulls out the lunar module. Then it Tokyo drifts again and then goes whoosh. Then it does decel, massive handbrake. It just goes bang. Decells it, goes down, then lunar module lands, then lunar ascend module detaches from descend module and just like yeet. And why it was done? Because they knew for a fact that something bad could happen to a module that is firing on an unknown surface, basically landing a plane without a runway. So they knew for a fact that could happen, which, mind you, in one of the last mission, if I'm not wrong, last or second last mission, that did happen. Something bad happened to the engine. Thankfully, they did not need to reuse it. They were like, hey, land us safely, we good. That happened. After it was like, hey, we do not have to worry about it. Detach that puppy, ascend stage. Ascend stage goes, the command module catches it up, they yeets back there, now happens. Everything is simple, but 15 launches. I'm actually, that's why I love the fact that all the images are only showing 3. It's like, dude, you need 15 plus. So magic solution. I love this lady. It's like, man, you just ruined America's chance of landing on moon. Damn. Single individual causing this much damage. Damn. So is there a simple solution? Well, here's the deal. That was a messed up saying. Can we have a simple scenario? Absolutely, child's play, take it and go. So SpaceX can still make the Starship, no problem, no issue, and they still have the payload. But here's the deal. All they do is launch 2 of them. One has 100 tons of cargo, another has 100 tons of cargo. That's what they have claimed. So if they redesigned it to 90 tons, that would be an issue. But again, it's manageable. So when you see Saturn V, you have to understand Saturn V was only a 2-stage rocket. Everything else was mission elective, meaning you need this, then you put it. That's why the 3rd stage in one mission, they were like, hey, what if we made the 3rd stage into a space station? Only 2-stage rocket. So the 3rd stage was like, hey, I am the one who is doing the main oomph after the low Earth orbit. You take this puppy, put it in low Earth orbit. This is like, I'm gonna the one who's gonna provide the most oomph. So you can go from low Earth orbit to basically lunar injection burn. And this was the command module. This was doing a final decel burn, acceleration burn, and this was the crew return system. And this capsule area, not capsule, I will say fairing area, this had this puppy. And this lower part, descent module, ascend module. Now here's the deal. If you have this simple option where you have 2 Starship going there, that gives you 100 ton from one, 100 ton from other. So all you do is the same thing. You basically make 100 ton for lunar injection system and 100 ton for lunar mission. Basically this thing, you scale it up, upgrade it, refine it, whatever you need to do. And then 100 ton you have only as a kick stage, just push it. You can even make it refuelable, and that will be refueled in one go. So once it does the mission, you do not need refueling. You just do the mission and then like, okay, now we can refuel it. So first mission, no refueling needed. So and here's the deal. I have no idea how the heck people randomly saying that we have to have reusable lunar system. It's not gonna happen because you're never gonna trust a lunar system Gen 1 with human inside. Like think about this way, like when SpaceX tried to land their rocket, did they launch it again? No, they tore it apart, understand just like what the heck happened, like is the turbo pump right, is everything right? Like they have to do that. Same happened with Electron, and they actually started to capture it. They did not just launch it again. They were like, okay, let's strip that puppy naked, let's figure everything out, how the heck every fatigue structures are working, and then same thing will happen on Moon. And Moon is naughty. It does not have atmosphere, so you cannot rely on gentle things. It is jagged, so it will destroy things that are touching it. So how would you know? Will you really trust a human's life on second try? So that was the whole point. That's why we cannot be like, I have no idea how the heck people came up with the idea. Let's force the second stage to go to, it's like, dude, 3rd stage. You need 3rd stage, not 2nd stage. So you have to accept that the Gen 1 products will not be reused. And here's the, we have to be happy with 2nd stage reuse only. Here's the, we have till this point only have booster that can be reused. We are okay with that. That's cool. That's miles ahead of what we had. Now SpaceX wants to go to a point where they're like, hey, we have 2nd stage that is reusable. That should be awesome. That should be orgasmic. But there should not be a point. What if we stretch this to Mars? It's like, bro, you lost the point. You lost the plot, flat out. That should not happen. It's like, hey, 2nd stage, let's figure it out, let's fine tune it, let's optimize that, done. 3rd stage, again, let that be okay. Let that be okay. That's cool. And be mindful, people seems to forget that we are still using disposable rocket on Falcon 9. Falcon 9 2nd stage is disposable. Every time it's being yeeted out. Heck, a fairing has reuse. The 2nd stage booster is like, nobody loves me. So be mindful. And this one, that's S4B. Do not ask me why it's called 4B. It's the 3rd stage. It was 180 ton. And lunar stuff, basically everything, the command module, the capsule, and the ascent module and descent module, all of those was 47 ton. So you see it's around 115 tons, 150 ton. That's why Saturn V is classified as 150 ton to low Earth orbit. So if you have 200 tons to low Earth orbit, all you have to do is docking them. And again, you can still use, heck, you can use Dragon to transport crew. It would be easier. That's how you redesign the mission. Done. And that was the design intent from all other manufacturers. That's why NASA is like, whoever is now in charge is like, hey, other players, please get this done. This one launch, this another launch, done. Go home. You do not need this magical hulululu where the whole rocket is freaking landing on Moon or Mars. So simple solution exists. It can be done. And that was the intent, to be fair. That's why other companies were looking so simple. It was like, hey, we need to land in 2024. It's not even theoretically viable to do that 2nd stage refueling and then 2nd stage landing on Moon safely. That's not happening. So what can we expect in the future? Well, as of now, this is raw incompetence what happened to NASA. It's not malice. Everybody is very clear. It's like, how the heck NASA is not letting go of space shuttle? And here's the deal: the consequence of that is like all those people job who could have been switched to other companies and other design, most likely, now they are gone. Like all of them would be gone, because SLS is like reaching a point where it's $2 billion. And be mindful, NASA is flat out lying, and Inspector General Office is saying, please do not lie that it will be less than $1 billion. Boeing cannot deliver this under $1 billion. It's just not going to happen. So there is a direct conflict there. So there is a very good chance SLS will be cancelled. It has to be cancelled. Government cannot burn billions. Even if Starship is, let's say, $500 million, still would be like half the price. And again, at least it would have cadence, where it's like, okay, it's expensive, but we can launch again and again and again and again. So current shows raw incompetence. Now, Rasa cannot do anything simply because if politics keeps forcing itself into it, it's not going to do it, especially if all the politics are random. And be mindful, this was the one good thing about America in that Cold War era. Everybody was like one singular goal. That time they had a slogan just after World War II. It was like, united we stand, divided we fall. In the World War II, there, like, propaganda was wise, good. Anybody who watched Captain America know this. Divided we stand, united we stand, divided we fall. So what's happening right now, the America is no longer united. What does that mean? That simply means everybody is caring about their own short-term gain. They are not thinking about, like, it's better to have a nation that is awesome rather than, oh, I'm very rich in this nation right now and the nation is degrading very rapidly. Nobody's like, short-term thinking, if it overrides the long-term thinking too much, there is serious consequences into that. Like, we have the world to look into it. Like, we have the history where people became too short-sighted and consequences were brutal, to say the least. So too many Americans are there. Like, this was the image that was sent to NASA, and I genuinely, I'm like honestly telling you, I thought this was some fan-made art, because this looks awesome. Like, you have Starship and landing and all that, and there is a Starship logo on the landing pad. No, this image is from SpaceX that was sent to NASA for the plant, acceptance. Anybody who's looking at this would be like, dude, what are you smoking? This is our first landing. We do not have runway. We do not have roads. We do not have depots. We do not have fuel depots. We do not have a landing pad with your branding on. How the heck, like, this is not a mission planning for first try. This should be like 500 down the line. This is not first. it's like Wright brothers first plane. No, we need a full-fledged air runway and full traffic control. Air traffic control is like, what the hell? That's what it is. Like, it has everything, like crows, rovers, everything. It's like, how the heck this image came to be? And that's why, like, we were like, dude, your engine, that's not height. Then the updated it is like, and I'm like, this was selected for lunar system? That's why I'm saying this is not meant for here. All you're supposed to send is this much here. The third stage. The missing third stage is the reason of this hassle. They're just not accepting it. Like, and again, they know this is not going to be reused. So why the heck you're forcing it to? Just send this part. It would be more than good enough. So this short-term thinking where somebody accepted it, somebody is just like, oh, I will get a job there, so I'm just gonna get some favors here, and then like my nation be damned. And I'm like, how the heck Boeing or executives became so, like, Boeing was the one who built Saturn V, by the way. Again, not all the things of it, but they were a very major contractor in that. I love the fact that I was looking for Saturn V documentation. The instrument unit was 2 tons. I'm like, just one smartphone is more than good enough for that now. So this sort of system where everybody is just looking out for themselves, every politician is just like, oh, I'm gonna elect it this time. It's like, dude, they're gonna hate you if you gonna like, okay, we have to retool everything. They're gonna hate you. They're gonna be frustrated by you, but they're gonna respect you once they have, oh, now we have even bigger system, even better system, rather than be like, oh, every politician is just titillating us for long enough and then they finally crash it. It's like, why we don't have jobs? Yeah, you burned that money. Like, we went from this, like, this was amazing, to like this. How the heck this was sent there? How the heck somebody approved it? And how the heck whole public, American public, was like, this is how we need to do it? Nobody is like, dude, this whole section does not need to be there. So that's the whole point. America is truly divided too much at this point in time. And I always say, like, once the family unit starts to break down, once the family unit is completely divided, destroyed, you no longer have individuals who can think long term because they do not have a frame of reference for long term. Once you do not have that, like, people do not understand how much progress happened because of this. Like, trust me, like, this is very significant advancements in science, in technology, in job happened simply because of Apollo. If you are messing the whole nation up simply because I want a paycheck right now, again, that will have trickle down effects, very serious consequences. So a nation that is this much divided is not a good news. Now, does that mean China can beat USA to moon? Likely not, because again, China gave world a love kiss of Corona, and unfortunately, that kiss came back with vengeance. So this vengeance is everybody is pulling their orders. Meaning, if you look at the tool review channels, they are used to, like, made in China, made in China. Now everything is made in Mexico. It's like, oh, people can actually pull their order now. Everything, like, heck, I have a onion grinder that is made in Turkey, not even China, Turkey. So you get that point. Like, China's economy is not doing as good as people were expecting. So that the probability they can afford like a multi-billion-dollar investment in space, not impossible. There is nothing in physics, but the economics is giving me moment of concern, so to say. And given the amazing performance of Russia's invasion, I think they have bigger fish to fry at this point in time. So this was a sad thing. Like, actually digging deep into it, reading on the material, all the everything is like, we do have DDR5, so let's plan for DDR10. It's like, bro, you missed some step. Like, this should not be on the moon. It's like somebody tried to, like, Saturn. What if we have Saturn 5 second stage to the moon? It's like, what if you do not do stupid things? What if you put a third stage? So this was my presentation on how Artemis have already failed. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please hit the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free. And as always, thanks for watching.